The capacity for rights. Capacity for rights means to be eligible to have rights and duties. Article 8 of the Turkish Civil Code states that every person has the capacity for rights. Consequently, all the persons have equal capacity to have rights and duties, within the limits of the law. According to this definition, the capacity for rights is recognized for every human being without discrimination. Restriction of capacity for rights. The Article 8 of the Turkish Civil Code, which states that all the persons have equal capacity to have rights and duties, within the limits of the law, foresees that the law may restrict the use of the capacity for rights. Married woman's inability to protect her surname. In Turkish law, the woman married must take the surname of the man. However, the woman may carry her surname with the surname of the man. Foreigners' acquisition of immovable property in Turkey. Under the land registry law, foreign natural persons and legal persons acquire immovable property in Turkey. However, there are certain restrictions on foreigners' acquisition of immovable property. Not all persons can gain property in Turkey. The capacity to act. The capacity to act refers to the capability of a person to conclude legal acts by oneself. A person having the capacity to act can enter into valid transactions independently. Since a legal transaction is an act of will, a person must understand the consequences of the act he or she does. Differences between the capacity for rights and the capacity to act. Capacity for rights and the capacity to act are completely independent concepts. However, both capacities are in close relationship with each other. It is almost impossible to draw the boundary between both capacities precisely. The most important difference between both capacities is manifested in the person's will. There is no role of the will in the acquisition of capacity for rights, but the will of the person has a central role from the viewpoint of capacity to act. Requirements for capacity to act. It is necessary to have certain conditions for a person to have the capacity to act. The conditions of capacity to act in Turkish law are regulated in Articles 10 and 14 of the Turkish Civil Code. The Article 10 of the Turkish Civil Code states that every major person, capable of judgment and not interdicted, has the capacity to act. Capability of judgment. The capability of judgment is a vague concept and is not defined in the law. The capability of judgment shows that a person has reached a specific mental competency. The Article 13 of the Turkish Civil Code provides that every person is capable of judgment within the meaning of this law if he or she does not lack the ability to act reasonably due to the minority, mental disability, mental disorder, intoxication, or similar reasons. Grounds that remove the capability of judgment. Grounds that remove the capability of judgment is regulated in Article 13 of the Turkish Civil Code, such as the minority, mental illness, mental weakness, intoxication, or other reasons similar to these. Intoxication. Under Article 13 of the Turkish Civil Code, another situation that removes the capability of judgment is intoxication. Intoxication is a temporary state that lifts the capability of judgment. It is not a structural disorder like mental illness and mental weakness, and thus it does not form a permanent state. In the state of intoxication, intelligence and understanding of a person are weakened by the external factors and the person temporarily loses his or her capability of judgment. Majority. One requirement of the capacity to act is the majority. The majority is regulated in Articles 11 and 12 of the Turkish Civil Code. The concept of maturity refers to reaching a certain age. Capacity to act means to enter legal transactions independently. In order to perform a legal transaction, a person should understand the consequences of his or her acts. It is therefore significant for a person to reach certain mental maturity. Ordinary majority. In Turkish law, one of the most important factors that determine the capacity to act is the age. According to the Turkish Civil Code, the age of majority is 18. Therefore, persons who complete that age gain full legal capacity. Where a person attains the age of 18, he or she is deemed major with no further processing. Emancipation, extraordinary majority. In some circumstance stated in the law, the person who has not completed the age of 18 can be major. In Turkish law, a person can be emancipated only in two situations, by marriage and by court decision. Emancipation by court decision. According to Article 12 of the Turkish Civil Code, a minor who has completed the age of 15 years may be declared major by a court upon his or her request and parents' consent. Conditions of emancipation by court decision. Age. In order for the judge to emancipate a minor, he or she must complete 15 years of age. This requisite is the same both for boys and girls. Decision of court. A minor can be emancipated only by the decision of a competent court. Except for emancipation by marriage, persons do not have the right to emancipation without the decision of a competent court. In the same way, under Turkish law, parent has no right to emancipate their child. Lack of interdiction. Another condition of the capability of the judgment is the lack of interdiction. Interdiction is regulated in the Articles 405 to 408 of Turkish Civil Code. Full capacity. The persons who have full capacity are stated in the 10th and 14th Articles of the Turkish Civil Code. The Article 10 of the Turkish Civil Code states that every major person capable of judgment and not interdicted has the capacity to act. No capacity. The persons with no capacity are the persons who are not capable of judgment. Minors incapable of judgment and the persons mentally ill are examples of the category with no capacity. Capacity to litigate. Because the persons with no capacity have no capacity to act, they do not capacity to litigate. Therefore, they cannot be a party to a lawsuit. Their guardian can litigate for themselves and on behalf.